Welcome to episode 259 of the Brain Software Podcast, originating from the hypnotic world epicenter, Toronto, Canada. I'm Chris Thompson, and today, Hypno Wizard Mike Mandel and I are going to discuss tons of awesome stuff, including the joys of brainwashing, improvements in hypnotic pain relief, and tons more. So stay tuned, and here's your disclaimer.
Disclaimer. There have been numerous emails, text messages, and even phone calls demanding that we immediately cease and desist from saying Lucci, as its disruptive effect on the zeitgeist is simply unacceptable. In response, let me just ask two simple questions of those who would censor us. Can you really stop us? Can you stop us at all? Lucci.
Well, they can't stop me either, Pouch. So Lucci from me too, Breach Clout. I'm just grooving up here on level 42, periodically taking my vast wealth back through time to bet once again on Lord Melbury's lanky chestnut horse in the 6th race at Belmont. My total wealth is insanely high now, so I'm going to bet Black Stallion bucks on that lanky chestnut stallion, and you should do the same, Scroll. But as William Butler Yeats said, if you've got one of those round brown straw mats that you put the teapot on to protect the dining room table from the heat, make sure you periodically dig the crumbs out with a spoon. It's far out, bag. Can you dig it? But whatever happened to that good old Gus Grissom, Scroll? That's what I want to know.
We are not witches and Lucci. So welcome to the realm of all things hypnotic, the world's foremost authority on himself, our fearless leader from Chatterton, UK, now living in Toronto because he is the Keith Richards of hypnosis. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Mandel.
Oh, I got another one in. That was great. I even looked at myself in the monitor right after I did it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Okay.
All right, we're going to have a good conversation. We have some thoughts on hypnosis and brainwashing. People are always asking about that. It's sort of closely related. Is hypnosis manipulation, and isn't this all evil? And we're going to talk about pain. We're going to talk about a bunch of other stuff. I haven't even looked at your notes here, Mike.
That's all right.
But this is going to be a great episode. Before we get into it, let's just make sure that you are invited to join our free community. It's called Brain Software, and it's on Facebook, and you can find it at MikeMandelHypnosis.com/free group, all one word, free group. Or you can just go to Facebook and type in Brain Software. You'll find the group and you can request to join. Just make sure you answer the admin questions so people don't say, no, you're not allowed in. They'll say yes, and you'll be in the group and it'll be awesome. And we have our Architecture of Hypnosis coming up in November, way more than halfway full now. Hopefully there's still spots by the time this goes live. This episode, I can't remember when it goes live, but whatever. Our class is in November, and it's going to be freaking great. It's in Toronto, 5 days with us. So come check it out.
That's awesome, man. And you know, I got an email yesterday from Dr. Dirk, one of our students.
Oh, yes.
The psychiatrist. And he wrote this wonderful email to me and asked me to be on his podcast.
Oh, fantastic.
So I said, absolutely. Naturally, I said,
of course
no.
he said yes.
Naturally, I said,
Yeah.
Of course I would. He was
Wow.
a great student and a really nice guy. So we'll be doing that.
You're just
Scary,
doing
he was
the
having a
snorting
stroke.
noises. We have 3 words to do and then our content,
Okay,
right?
but before we do, we're
Okay.
triggering the 3 words always now. And of course, we're doing this on a day we're supposed to be going faster. We have,
Right.
No,
Yes.
not that.
Yeah.
Not if I know who you're doing. I'm going to always now lead in with the Zoltan Kodály hand signals and the music from Close Encounters of the Third Kind back from 1978, I believe. Here we go. Those are the actual Zoltan Kodály hand signals.
Your hands are dangerously close to the edge of the frame there.
Oh, I freaking know that, buddy. Yeah. I know it. So let's look at it. Here's our 3 think tank words.
Okay.
Number 1 is nonchalance.
Nonchalance.
Number 2 is retrenchment. That sounds like something that would happen on
retrenchment.
Like the laundry blooms.
Yes.
For retrenchment.
Yes.
And the third one is quest.
Okay. What do you get from those?
Well, nonchalance, it makes me think right away of when I had Paul Moyer in our class, we were teaching him how to do axe hands against the Bob, the fighting dummy.
Yeah, and you're supposed to really lay into Bob.
And he was like looking away. And he's going, bang. I said, why aren't you looking at the target? He said, I'm trying to seem nonchalant to the opponent.
No, you're trying to destroy the opponent.
That's right.
That's right.
So what do you get out of nonchalance?
I get the same thing. It's just this attitude of whatever kind of thing. I'll just be all casual about it. And if you're just casual about things in life, maybe you're not taking them seriously enough. So maybe be more serious about the things that actually matter, like having fun or interrupting each other like we do in this podcast.
Lucci.
That people constantly point out to us, which is hilarious, as if it's ever going to change.
It's not. Now, what about retrenchment? What do you get out of that? Here's what I get, and this is scary.
Like to retrench from something?
Yeah, I'm not even sure what it means, which is very difficult for me to admit.
Huh.
Retrenchment. I see trench to grave
to
Dracula.
Dracula. Oh, okay. So my nephew from Poland, he just visited, right? Samuel.
Hilarious. He's great.
And we taught him the Dracula game, which, in case you don't know, if it's your first time watching the podcast, just a really fun, stupid game where you're given a seed word and you have to. What does that make you think of? What does that make you think of?
In the shortest number of steps.
Yeah, and you must, in the shortest number of steps possible, get to Dracula. Samuel's, eight-year-old Samuel's genius discovery. He goes, I said a word like, let's say it was, I don't know, feather. He'd say, feather in Transylvania, Dracula. Whatever the thing was, just in Transylvania. And it's like, that's cheating.
Show me that video. He's hilarious. You've got to get him into the reverse Dracula.
Yeah.
Which is what we do right now. So we got Quest is the next one. My quest is that we keep growing MMHA. We keep having a blast. And that these podcasts get even better if such a thing were possible.
If it's
Lucci. What do you think? What are you getting from Quest?
Well, I don't know what the heck it has to do with reverse Dracula. So
I can get to Quest from doing reverse Dracula.
Oh, okay,
Dracula,
got you.
To Dracula getting the ship going to Whitby with all the coffins full of his grave dirt, and
To a
Dracula
quest.
was on a quest.
All right, there you go. It's Quest. All right.
Contaminate
What
with
I get
vampire
from
blood.
Quest is Quest is a journey. I think that we're all on mini
folks?
quests. We're all on mini quests.
Right.
And when we think about a quest as a big thing, this ordeal, it can become overwhelming.
It can.
So instead, what is the littlest, smallest first step in that quest to whatever you're looking for? That's what I get.
That's
Way
nice.
too serious.
I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
Can you get to Dracula from Nonchalant? I just have to know.
Well, Dracula to death, to not moving very much, to nonchalance.
I'll do it. I'll go with it. Okay. So here, let's get into our talking points. Today we're going to talk all about brainwashing.
All right, let's talk about
This
it.
is very interesting. There is, people sometimes are crazy and stupid. Many, many years ago, I had an event and I went back to some people's houses afterwards. They gave me supper. They're very nice. It was when I was in my early 20s and I was just traveling alone. And afterwards, the guy said, isn't hypnosis just brainwashing?
Isn't
First time I heard
hypnosis
that.
just
Or isn't
brainwashing?
another form of brainwashing, or isn't brainwashing hypnosis? The answer is yes, it absolutely is, but not in the way you would think. And I've got the notes here. Frank Evans in 1989 invented hypnotic brainwashing.
Okay.
And my source is Dabney Ewan. So you know it's a credible source.
Yes.
And what he came up with is a hypnosis procedure I've never used, but I want to give this a shot like we did with the Bernheim one.
Oh, the awakening.
Yeah. Now, this one from a previous podcast, listen again, folks. This hypnotic brainwashing, he said, is really good to use if the subject has a wide variety of bizarre symptoms. He said, you do this. He would tell them, put them in a trance, have them imagine that he's unzipped the top of their head, pull the skin back.
This has Brado, Dudernet written all over it.
Retracted the skin.
Yeah.
From his head.
Yes.
On this one.
Yes.
And then he got like a circular saw, went round, and lifted the top of his head off, all painlessly, exposing the brain. It's all full of dirt in the sulky and the frickin' other things, gyri. And so he says, imagine we get a bucket of hot water and brushes. And the guy said, I want to use a steel wool brush. Imagine he does it himself, gets in and gets all the dirt out. Then they flush it out with cool, fresh water, zip it all up, close it down. And he said amazing results with symptoms disappearing from doing that.
So literal brainwashing here. Okay, I was
Washing
wondering.
the frickin'
I just
brain.
clued in. You're actually talking about washing the brain, literal brainwashing.
I know.
Okay, so that is kind of
close as it gets.
This is an interesting one because it's not really guided imagery since you're doing the procedure to this dissociated other you. So is it still
You're
guided?
doing it on your subject.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the hypnotist is
the
imagining.
brainwasher.
Okay, so the hypnotist is positioning himself or herself as the one doing the washing,
Yeah, or
and
telling him to wash
the
himself.
subject is imagining that this is happening, which is kind of guided imagery in a way, but in this weird dissociated.
Yeah.
Other
Other person sort of thing.
It's
So-
a thing that's happening.
But as
Okay.
far as brainwashing goes, no, hypnosis has very little in common with it. That's a common misunderstanding that people who are brainwashed, that they're taken away and hypnotized and told they believe this, trying to create the Manchurian candidate that, what's his name, Esther Brooks and MT Orn. Some don't say Orne, they're saying Orn, so I'm going to go with Orn now. But in my head, I'm saying Orne. Now, the other thing
Orne sounds more awesome.
scary, yeah. So, they were endeavoring to do this conditioning of people. They found they could not do it without fragmenting the personality with insulin shock or electroconvulsive therapy, whatever. Brainwashing does not work through hypnosis. And the experts on this were the North Koreans who learned it from the Chinese, and people who were captured in the Korean War who changed their entire ideology were brainwashed. And I think Cialdini spoke
Cialdini wrote
beautifully
about
on
this.
Yeah,
I think it was
it was an influence.
Prisoners of War.
Yes.
And how they
Consistency principle.
They were given rewards for writing certain things where, for example, they were to extol the virtues of capitalism in the United States, but also write something that indicated that
Okay, you're so
communism
close.
isn't quite as bad
It's so
as
close.
people think.
They'd have everybody, the soldiers are separated, and then one day they come and get him and take him to the office, and he's like freaking out.
Yeah.
And the commandant says, "Sit down.
Here's a meal.
Would you like
Yeah.
dinner?" Yeah. He's like wolfing down this dinner.
Tell me all about
Would you
America.
like some whiskey?
Yeah.
Sure. Tell me about America. I want to learn about. Oh, America's greatest country on the face of the earth. And he's like, I don't doubt that.
Is there anything
Yeah.
wrong,
Are there any
though?
problems? Must have some
Are there any
problems.
imperfections?
No, there are none. He said, well, don't you have ghettos? Don't you have racism? Well, yeah, we do have those. So you do agree America has some problems. You're pouring him another glass of whiskey
Yes.
here. Yeah, it has some problems, but they're not big. Okay, I
Yeah.
accept that. Could you just sign your name to that America does have some problems?
Sure, why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
So he goes back and he goes,
baby
I've
steps.
enjoyed this. Yeah, tiny incrementalism. I've enjoyed this discussion. How about I'll have you back some other time to teach me more about the U.S. Listen how it's framed, to teach me about the U.S. So he goes back to his room. He's had this great turkey dinner or whatever they served him,
Whiskey.
yeah, whiskey, wine, whatever. And kimchi. So anyway, he's back in his room. And then the next day they're out in the exercise yard. He's out with all the other guys he hasn't seen. And they
Announcement,
broadcast.
yeah.
Announcement. We want to thank, Corporal Todger of the United States Army for being so helpful in explaining how the United States works and all its strengths, and also for telling us about the flaws in the United States, like racism and this. And his buddies are coming, what the hell are you doing? Talking about? Well, he said, well, it's true. Now, because he signed his name to it, he's now defending it.
to
This
them.
is the thin
Yeah.
end of the wedge.
Yes.
And before long, through this, he will be consistent because he made a public proclamation. Plus, brainwashing often happens in cults, religious cults, financial cults, and there are such things. And I won't say the name of any of them, but I can think of two right away. What they do is, a lot of the time, they affect your diet. They give you high carbs for lunch, and your blood sugar soars, and they give you all the great information and how great they are. And then they let your blood sugar crash and then tell you how horrible your life is and all of this stuff. You're controlling people's states. And it's not surprising that this would work, but it's not hypnosis.
It is not. And a lot of people, I would imagine, are brought up, like parented in a situation where, let's say, believing in racism, certain cultures certain people are evil. And those people, those Martians, you shouldn't trust them. They're all thieves and bastards and liars. And all that kind of stuff.
Especially bastards.
Well, where do kids learn that? From their environment, from their parents, from their
Primarily
teachers,
parents,
from whatever else is going on around them, right?
Yep.
And I mean, that's just repetition. And it's like related to hypnosis only insofar as if you evoke an emotion and offer a suggestion, we can describe that as hypnotic.
Sure.
So if you keep evoking emotions in a kid of how that person is a scary, bad monster because he fits into the Martian crowd, then you'll start believing it, right? And so emotion suggestion, these people are bad. Now you will repeat it over and over and tell other people how bad those Martians are.
Yeah, and it just, you pass it on. And the problem is it becomes, Pierre Janet's idée fixe, the fixed idea in the brain, and it's very, very hard to break through that.
Yeah.
Extremely hard. I loved watching on Ancestry DNA when they showed the video, when they when they were just setting up their program, they had a bunch of people and asked them if they liked their nationality, what they liked to be instead. And one guy said, a Brit, soccer player type, saying, I hate Germans. I've always hated Germans. And I'm 100% British. I know I am. And they bring his DNA out. And he's like,
And then he's probably like,
he's mostly German.
Yeah.
And he was devastated. But it should be eye-opening for him.
yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. It's not,
That would be cognitive dissonance
Of
big
course.
time, right? Because you've stated in this case that you hate Germans, whatever. Okay. And then you find out that you're like 60% German or something.
brilliant. I love it.
Now, one of those, like, you either have to say the test is a fake. I do not accept this DNA test. Unlikely in modern world, right? Or you have to go, I was an idiot.
Yeah, he switched to
Probably the more
Darf ich
likely
Ihnen
outcome.
etwas zu essen anbieten? Yeah, fantastic. Ich möchte das gerne, say that again. Ich
Oh,
möchte Sie
man.
gerne begleiten. Anyway, so it's interesting. My wife's antidote to all the stupid racism and nationalism and all these things is she has one line, and I love it. I've adopted this. She says, I will not hate and I will not fear anybody.
I'm a humanist.
Yeah. I'm a humanist. Yeah.
That's right.
We are racists. And what we mean by that is we support the human race, all
That's
branches of it in every way, shape, and form. So if you snip that out, this is the original.
It's a better way to live, isn't it?
It is, man.
Yeah. Why would you go around hating people you've never even met? That just seems stupid to me.
What a waste of energy and a
Yeah.
waste of a freaking life. So how do we get onto racism from brainwashing?
I think just from the idea that kids grow up, like, how does a kid grow up racist? They don't just decide one day, I think I'm going to start hating on those people. I mean, it's got to start from the environment. That's how we got onto it.
I like the way you did that.
Yeah.
Hating on those people.
I'm going to hate on those.
It's grammatically
Can you
unsound, but
imagine
it's working.
if you had to actually, if you ever were to sit back and think, oh, people make decisions based out of logic. This has got to be the most compelling evidence that
They
is
don't.
not true.
They make decisions
do
by
not,
emotions
right.
and they justify with facts.
Because you
afterwards.
wouldn't, you could never logically go, oh, well, all those sorts of people over there or whatever. Yeah,
We're gonna
we're
keep the bell
repeating
here.
ourselves. We're going to keep
You
the
know what?
bell,
You know this bell
just
is?
in
This has
case.
got a name now.
The bell end,
No. The Lucci bell.
the Lucci
You
bell.
get to say
Okay, I like
again.
it.
You got a piece of fluff on your shoulder. You got it.
Here we
A
go.
little bit of
Got it.
fluff.
Okay,
Go on.
fluff.
Okay,
fluff
so
is
let's
fixed.
let's talk about this for a second. Pain.
Yeah.
The gate theory of pain. This is the theory I largely use. We've dealt with a lot of pain in hypnosis. Hypnosis is an area where that is just. Let's reverse that. Pain is an area where hypnosis is tremendously powerful
Yeah.
in reducing it, even eliminating it completely. And the whole gate theory of pain is a really good one.
GATE.
Right. The idea that you have you have pain receptors, and some of them are ion pumps and so on. So you've got touch receptors, pain receptors, heat receptors, cold receptors,
Yeah.
taste receptors, all of these that immediately send a signal through the spinal cord to the brain. Pain receptors are very, very tiny.
Okay.
But the theory with the gate theory is very interesting, that when, say, you burn your hand or you stab yourself in the finger with a porcupine quill of a particular color,
Okay.
like a green
porcupine
sears
quill.
into this flash, and you get this pain because these receptors have fired. They send a message to your spinal cord. It's gone to your brain. So you don't really feel the pain in your finger. You feel it in your brain. I'm sure you've had the case, Chris, where you put your foot, mostly as a kid, in a scalding hot bathtub.
yeah. And then you've whipped your foot
Whip
out
your foot out
and
before
only
you
realize
feel the pain.
consciously that it's painful after.
Right. So the pain receptors are slower than the ones that tell you it's hot.
Your foot is the Tesla. Your brain is like the old gas car that's really slow.
Glad you didn't say
Conscious, not the
So
brain.
the bottom line with this is the theory is you have gates in your spinal cord, not literal gates, but if you shut those gates, the reception from those tiny pain receptors cannot get through, because the receptors for things like pressure or whatever, you see I'm losing the thread.
Yeah.
Receptors for things like pressure are larger. So they say, you bang your elbow, classic case. What do? We rub it. We rub a bruised area, like you hit your knee.
And
on
why
something.
do we do that?
That closes the gates to a degree, and the pain is not able to get through. Well, guess what is the ultimate for closing gates? Well,
Let me guess.
things like
Hypnosis.
lidocaine, but hypnosis is excellent at shutting down these gates, and it enables you to close them, and the reception will not be the same. So you feel better. Now, you can do this before pain, during pain, after pain, whatever. But the other aspect of this that I'm really excited about is adding the dissociation barrier. And we talked about this.
Yeah.
Dissociating, seeing yourself from outside, looking at yourself in your imagination is very powerful if you do it even in a conscious, aware, natural state.
That
But
will
if you do-
naturally reduce pain.
Absolutely. If you
Just
do
by
that,
dissociating.
even without hypnosis,
Yeah.
you're right.
So if
will
you
get
bang
that.
your elbow and you close your eyes and imagine that other you over there, and he banged his elbow and he's experiencing the discomfort. You'll automatically have SUDs, subjective units of distress. So,
You said
subjective units of distress will go down. Okay, back to you.
No, you're right. So when we add dissociation, when we add to it and put in a barrier in the imagination, it's even stronger. And I think I got this from Dr. Marlene Hunter out in Western Canada. It's very clever. So the person now imagines, they see themselves externally with that pain in their shoulder or whatever.
Yeah.
So the pain reduces immediately, especially if you're in a trance. Then you put a barrier between you and that dissociated
So
you.
that other you is on the other side of that big plexiglass
Whatever. And
wall
the key
or
is
something.
you let the subject choose what the barrier is.
Right.
Could be an impassable chasm.
That's
it could be a lake, whatever.
That's a nice touch in so many different areas of life too. All hypnotic interventions, if you can let the client be involved in choosing things, that's usually better.
Yes.
But similarly, in any relationship too, right? If we want to make a meal together and you're involved in choosing, you're more likely to have a good outcome from it.
For sure.
And this comes back to
illusion
even
of choice.
working with kids. Like if a kid is objecting to something and you can get them to agree that a thing will happen, but they're choosing like the A or B double bind. Would you like to help me with this or that? And they're choosing. In fact, Erickson wrote about this in Collected Papers Volume 1, the double bind. He really understood because his father would use it on him all the time. You're going to be doing this work. Would you rather do this first or that first in the farm?
Right.
And anyway, same thing. I think the idea of having clients involved in choosing things is useful because of Cialdini. Same as Cialdini
the
principle, right?
participation element, the enjoyment.
Commitment and consistency. If they commit to a choice that they want the plexiglass wall instead of the whatever else.
Impassable chasm. Yeah.
Saran wrap wall or something.
Whatever. Yeah. The Meaford wall. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Anyway, enough said.
Brilliant. And we have to go. We have a special report coming in
Okay.
right now, Chris.
We'll do a special report and then
Ring
we'll
the
come
Lucci
back.
bell.
All right. We have a special report from Hypno North. Our roving reporter, Brado, is on the scene.
Yeah, how are you tonight? Thanks again. Well, it's your old pal Brado coming at you from the land of endlessly open and ridiculously inane communication loops. So here we go. Yesterday, I saw a backhoe in the neighbor's yard, and since the neighbor's that dick Eddard, I was immediately intrigued and interested because if you put Eddard and especially Duder together with some heavy equipment, you're likely for an immense fail in the form of an entertaining construction accident. Well, I went out to check things out and saw there were a few dozen of those human litter boxes that those two dicks were trying to sell a few months back. There was also a pile of small zippers from the new improved protophiliacs they've been selling too, and that, but had given up on since so many men in Grey County got their wedding tackle put out of service owing to the sharp edges on the zippers and obvious and dickish oversight. So I stood watching Eddard digging a pit and plowing all the Alice zippers into it, and he started digging what looked like a series of graves in the field behind his trucks and cars up on blocks. It got even more interesting when Duder walked over with a piece of plywood with the words 7 feet funeral services and nailed it onto the fence post. So since this clearly had Moranicity written all over it, I asked what was going on in that, and Eddard stepped down from the backhoe to explain. I got me a hoe, he said, laughing, which led to him and Duder hacking and coughing up their lungs at this high form of humor. When they got their breath back, they told me they created a funeral company, and Duder was a certified mortician now because he got ChatGPT to make him a certificate, and he was ready to start burying people in that and charging great money to do it too. He told me the name 7 Feet Funeral Services came from his brilliant idea of Duder's, and he also came up with their tagline, "We go the extra foot for you," and that. This was so bastardly dumb, I didn't even know what to say, especially when I watched Duder start fabricating cheesy-looking coffins out of all the human litter boxes that didn't sell and lining them with orange tissue paper he still had hanging around from Halloween last year. So what's this got to do with hypnosis up here in the land of pernicious Moranicity? Well, I went right back to my place and searched through my small library as well as all the hundreds of MMHA videos to see if there was a technique I could use to hypnotize them into not being dicks anymore. But apparently there isn't. So I'm doomed to this daily disruption until one of them falls in front of the backhoe and buries himself. So once again, this has been your old pal Brado, still podcasting from Meaford on the iPhone 4 and struggling to stay sane in the land of abject lunacy.
All right, and we are back. Thank you. And let's continue on, Mike. I have a question. When it comes to the gate theory of pain, this isn't a this isn't a new thing that leads to a different form of treatment with hypnosis, right?
No.
This just explains how what we already do with hypnosis works scientifically. Is
Pretty
that
much,
correct?
yeah, because even things like dissociation take your mind off it.
Right.
Things like distraction take your mind off it. So maybe they are shutting the gates.
Yes, perhaps they are.
Shut up
I mean,
with
it's
all
certainly
that.
working.
It's
So,
really menacing.
yes, perhaps they are.
You just need a scarecrow laugh. Okay.
Okay, I have a question now for
bet.
you. So I remember you copied me on an email, or you forwarded me an email that some guy wanted you to, if I get this correct, check out an audio that he had been using for a very long time
Since the 1980s.
and wanted to get your opinion on it. Now tell us about this, because this is kind of
He
interesting.
was a very nice guy, and it was a nice request. He said, "This is a hypnosis video I've been listening to since the 1980s. You know, I wanted to know what you thought of it." No, hypnosis
An
audio.
audio, 40 years of
Yeah.
use. Yeah.
And
they said it
I
hadn't
looked
been
at
working. Did he say it hadn't been working?
no,
for him?
no, he just wanted to know what I thought.
Oh, okay.
And I looked at it and thought, this is 40 minutes long.
40 minutes, you'll never get
Guys,
back.
I'm in my 70s. Yeah, I don't give 40 minutes away easily. I don't even like being here right now. Just kidding. Just kidding. Lucci. So, interestingly, I just said, no, I'm sorry. I really don't have time to deal with this, but it's nice of you. But I get
But it dovetails
asked to do stuff all the time.
into this topic, right? That often comes up. In fact, I was just having this conversation with a bunch of friends two nights ago. How to say no. Because people who want to be nice, they will easily get often roped into saying yes when then they feel bad for agreeing. And they've realized they've wasted their time doing something. Like if you said, yeah, sure, I'll give it a listen. And then you spend 40 minutes of your day listening to an audio, then you have to spend time composing a reply and saying, okay, I listened to it, and this is what I
Deconstructing it.
think.
Yeah.
Now you're inviting a whole conversation about your opinion on some other person's audio that you don't even necessarily care about. And it's the kind of thing that you just have to get comfortable
For sure.
saying no
Again,
to.
he was a nice guy, but we do get all kinds of requests like that. You know, have you seen this program? You need to, well, we know who the number one offender is. You need to watch this video right away. Look, it's like 2 hours and 18 minutes long. I think we know who that
Or
is.
just the watch this hyperlink
this.
and no context, no explanation. And you click and you go,
Watch this.
oh, it's a 2-hour-long YouTube documentary on a topic I couldn't care less about. Thank you.
Linoleum.
Thank you.
The origin
Yeah.
of linoleum.
Yeah.
You know, if someone says to me, watch this, you know what my answer is? Yeah, you can watch this.
So there is,
Doesn't make
you know, I would really like to challenge those of you listening. Drop us a comment on the YouTube channel if you're listening to the audio version, I guess you can't drop a comment. You could email it to us, but go to YouTube, just find this podcast, which is episode 259, and leave a comment and tell us, how is it that you find you say no to people in the most comfortable way so you don't feel like a dick when you say no?
That's it. That's it. And speaking of this, I just, in my mind, just went from Lucci to Dracula.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So from Lucci to Coochie to Coochie-coo, like you're tickling a baby.
Yeah, okay.
To vampires aren't ticklish.
Oh,
to Dracula.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
Now, we got that email too. The guy who said that Rendlesham, he found it too dark.
Yeah, this is...
Can you explain what Rendlesham is? 'Cause I'll just
okay. I will explain this.
Really to
So
do that.
a few years ago, Mike and I had been talking about how long it's been since he's ever produced a hypnosis recording, an audio recording. And the main three that existed, they always had this reference to a castle. And people over the years kept saying, when do I get to go to the castle? I said, Mike, we've got to do a recording, Journey to the Castle. We've got to take people on a journey to the castle. And you came up with that. And it was amazing. Totally different castle, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Not the castle in the first three recordings, Stress Relief,
better
Performance,
castle.
and Memory Power. Totally different castle. And you changed the way you did these hypnosis sessions in such an epic way. They're these amazing journeys. People love them. And their productions, the music, everything. So we did Journey to the Castle. Then we did Rendlesham. Then we did Cydonia, which was meant to be the prequel, but you should listen to it after because then the Easter eggs kind of make sense. So we did Cydonia. And then it took us a while, but we finally got part 3 done, Rendlesham.
And it was
Rendlesham
supposed
Forest.
to be only 3.
Yeah, it's going to turn into 7 or something now. But so Rendlesham, perhaps, would you say it's darker than the other two?
Not really, because there's some pretty scary stuff in, not scary, but there's weird stuff in both of the first two.
Yes, and maybe you'll explain its purpose. It might make sense. But anyway, we got an email basically saying, hey, I listened to this thing, Rendlesham, and I just found it too dark, and I don't really like it, and I want to know why you made it so dark.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, it's free.
It's a story.
we don't owe you
don't
an
have to listen to it.
explanation
Yeah.
if you don't like it.
You
don't email the producers of Seinfeld and say like, I just don't think the jokes are that funny. Why are you continuing with the show? Well, don't watch it. It's really not going to bother us.
Don't watch.
But it didn't stop there because he emailed like 2 more times and I just deleted
2
the
more
email.
times?
I think so.
I didn't even know about that.
I've deleted them, and I'm sorry if it's you listening and it was your question. I'm sorry. We don't owe everybody an answer to everything that they ask.
And the nice person who wrote this and found it too dark, I have something to say to you that will crystallize all of this, and you won't be concerned. Lucci. Thank you.
I had a feeling it was going to be
you were ready, man. You hammered that pack.
Do you think it's dark? Rendlesham?
No, absolutely not.
I don't think it's dark.
It's actually full of, it's startling and weird, but it's full of triumph. And
yes, exactly. And there are some moments where some words are said that catch you off guard.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a whoa.
Because Freddie Jack would create an emotion, give a suggestion.
Opens the sensory channel, right?
Yes. Well, sorry, but if you find Rendlesham dark, wait till I do Whitechapel. So we still got in the future is Whitechapel, Obsidian, Willoughby, and Gormenghast.
Gormenghast.
Not in that order.
By the way, these 3, the trilogy, they are reserved for Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy members. Journey to the Castle is free. It's the only one that's free, and you can get it at mikemandelhypnosis.com/castle. I don't think it's dark at all. It's freaking amazing. It's just great. So there's Rendlesham. And you know what? Let's wrap up.
We're going to wrap it up right now. We're going to save stuff for the next one.
Yeah.
We've got an empowering question, Christopher. Why don't you give that to us?
We're just saying. I thought we were going to finalize on a couple of points, but that's okay.
Oh, no. We're leaving hanging. Keep the Zygarnik effect going.
Okay. We'll record another podcast. We're doing 2 today. So
yes, we are.
The next one will continue on, which will be episode 260 with some of the stuff that we didn't get into this one. So let's do the empowering question, which is as follows. Since it's more than halfway through the year 2024 right now, what do I still need to accomplish to avoid wasting precious time? And what will I do beginning today to ensure that I get moving on it now?
Very nice. I've got a very quick Metafive.
One better than a metaphor.
One better than a metaphor. You know that my wife's brother died in January this year. Was drowned in Cuba on vacation. Just terrible. Drowned in the ocean. He was very, very big at our cabin on Bob Lake. Everybody loved him. He helped everybody with everything. Super nice guy. Bruce. Well, a few weeks ago, we had another death on the same road. It was this guy, Steve. Steve was a great guy, too. Worked for Toyota. Lived up there on the lake all the time. Never went vacation because he loved the lake so much. Him and his family just universally liked us. The nicest guy you could ever want to meet. Died at 62 of esophageal cancer. Just terrible. So we felt this sense of oppression and heaviness there. And it just felt like the lake was totally different. It's not a bad vibe, but you could feel their absence weirdly. And we went to a memorial thing for Steve at their place, and a lot of people showed up from Toronto and all over the place. So I was feeling kind of down. And then I just noticed over the days, great blue herons showed up on our lawn looking for chipmunks. We saw a turtle on the road. Then the hummingbirds came back. Then my murder of 4 crows, Crackle and his friends, all came back for food. And I was hoping that, we call him Higgins, the groundhog, was still there. He wasn't. And then I went for a walk and a groundhog showed up. And I just sort of thought, you know what? There's still life here.
Absolutely.
There is still life. And I found it encouraging in a dark time. And I'm feeling good again.
Do you know why?
I'm afraid to ask.
And with this we end. Because everything changes when the lawn tree blooms.
He's right, damn him.
All right. Hurrah! We'll see you all in the next episode, which will be episode 260. So make sure you check out mikemandelhypnosis.com/free group. All one word. That's our free Facebook community called Brain Software, or just search it on Facebook. We'll let you in if you answer the questions. Well, it won't be us. Somebody on our team. We'll let you in if you answer the questions. And check out our website so you can sign up for the Architecture of Hypnosis in Toronto, which comes at you in November. And we'll announce the May 2025 class shortly to probably be out by the time this is out. So thanks once again. And Lucci.
We are the Pepsi generation.